Hello, music students. This is Miss Paulson with your Monday music lesson. There's no assignments with this lesson. I want to make sure both you and your parents know that right away. I just want you to watch, enjoy, and learn. Looking, as soon as Miss Paulson can make her computer behave, today we're going to be talking briefly. This is just a really quick thing about classical, folk, and jazz. And these three are our three main musical styles. There's other musical styles in the world, of course, but these three are going to give us a really good foundation. Now looking here, let's start by looking at classical. Classical, you can see from this image, this is someone who's kind of fancy. They're conducting something of some sort. Classical is going to sound to your ears like it's fancy. If you see people perform it, it's usually written down. They're going to have a sheet of music in front of them, just like how you can kind of tell he has something on his stand there. It's something that people practice. It's not like they just do it for whatever they just started. Usually when you see someone perform it, they've been practicing for years. The people who play it are often professional, meaning it's their job. And when you hear groups like an orchestra, a band, or a choir, all three of those would be classical. Now first, and we'll see how it loads, apologies if it comes out real funny. Unfortunately, YouTube videos tend to not translate well on when I basically capture it on my screen like this, but we'll give it our best shot. This is an example of classical music, and it's going to be the song Somewhere Over the Rainbow. It's a very famous song. Take a listen and look for the things that you think might be classical. And if you're new to school, like you're in kindergarten or first grade, you're going to go, I don't even know what that is yet. That's okay. Just watch and learn.
My name's Laura Dickinson. I'm a music producer, a music contractor, but most people know me as a vocalist.
She's a Renaissance woman, so basically she's doing like 4 or 5 jobs.
And then they're going to chat for a little bit, so I'll skip to where it gets more interesting. Now, just briefly, I want to make it clear to you, this is classical because of the way it's orchestrated, meaning if you look, it's an orchestra full of these fancy instruments where they're reading music. The woman who's singing, she's using kind of a classical style of voice. Keep watching and just keep an eye and get a sense of, oh, this is what a classical sound is like. Come on, Mr. Computer. There we go.
Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind. Where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you'll find me. Somewhere over the rainbow, birds fly over the rainbow. Why then, oh why can't I?
We'll pause there. Again, that is that classical style of music. We're going to move on to folk music. Now, this is specifically American folk. If you go to China or to Russia or you go to Mexico, all of these different countries, we each have our own folk style. The style I'm going to share with you today, it's kind of got that bluegrass mountain sound to it. Folk music, if there are words, it tends to be about normal life. It can have a country sound. It can have stories, or a lot of times in stories, they'll talk about different animals. It often uses string instruments like the violin, like the banjo, the guitar, kind of simple string instruments. And if they do sing words, there can be a lot of nonsense words where it's just made up. Now, I wanted to have an example where it was really easy for you to hear the differences. So these gentlemen here, they're going to play Somewhere Over the Rainbow like you just heard, but now it's going to be in an American folk style. We won't play the whole thing, but take a listen. Banjo is playing the lead right now. And I believe the harmonica will play next. In his mouth, he's got a harmonica. He's playing two instruments at once.
That's not even his harmonica.
We'll pause in just a second. Now, I also want you to notice that even where they're playing, it's not as fancy as the last one, although of course it still sounds fantastic. They're wearing normal clothes. You can tell the people listening, they're not being quiet, and it's okay. They're participating and having fun that way. Moving on to our last musical style. Jazz is one of my favorites. I love jazz music. It tends to have a sense of humor. It's got a swing to it. So instead of being like 1, 2, 3, 4, it's going to be and. It's always on the and not on the beat. It loves to interrupt. It has call and response. And in this picture, I showed you, these are kind of the core three. There's almost always going to be a piano, a double bass, and a drum set, although there are exceptions to that. And on top of that, it's kind of like your main recipe, and you can add in your own other instrument flavors. In this next example, you'll see they have way more than those three. The beginning, they kind of noodle around, and I'll try to find the spot where the song begins with Somewhere Over the Rainbow once more. That is a bari sax. It's a little bit lower. Behind him are trombones. Earlier, that was the trumpets. And we'll go ahead and end there, ladies and gentlemen. So just to remind us, in music, we have three main styles. Our styles, sorry, the computer was thinking, are classical, folk, and jazz. There'll be more next week, but thank you for watching.